All right, lads, welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. We got a lot in for you in this episode. Shane is here as usual. How's things, Shane?
All good. How are you?
I am good. I'm gonna be in for a good weekend of college football. I'm heading to a couple of pep
Nice.
rallies tomorrow, Kansas State and Iowa State pep rallies, hoping to get some score predictions and the like from some fans, and hopefully you'll see that up on our social media. And then on the Saturday, I will be heading to the college football game with the two teams I just mentioned, and maybe a bit of tailgating beforehand. So I'm looking forward to that this weekend. Obviously, a lot of football, soccer on as well. So a lot to be casting my eye at on this weekend. Anything that you're looking forward to the most apart from Liverpool?
Well, I don't know if Liverpool counts at the weekend,
Yeah,
that
Monday
Monday
too.
night. So yeah, it's that part of the weekend. What am I looking forward to this weekend? Looking forward to that Spurs City game we touched on. I
Mm.
think that has the potential to be. It can either be a cracker, or it could be a bore, and hopefully it'll be a cracker. Other than that, just can't wait to have one of the other two sports back in. I think it's 3 Sundays from now we have the NFL back, so we just have to get through to
Close,
that
man.
now. And yeah,
Yeah,
just can't wait to have it back.
yeah, I'm buzzing for that too. Red Zone on a Sunday, and I think that's the
Mm,
first weekend back is an international break, so we've got the full Sunday
which is
clear for it.
ideal. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, I'm going to watch Ireland the day before, so I'm going to suffer for that, and then I'm going to be
Yeah.
watching my Red Zone to make me feel better on Sunday. But everything we touched on this week, we got a lot in. First of all, we touched on what's the crack with VAR, what's the crack with handballs, what's going on from last weekend. We went into that. Then we previewed City and Spurs, as Shane mentioned. We also previewed Newcastle and Liverpool. We went on to the NBA. Then we had Michael on. We continued to preview teams. We did the Cavs, we did the Sixers. Absolutely no bias at all there from myself and Michael, two Sixers fans. Then we looked at the Nets very quickly because, yeah, you can imagine what we
They're
said about
rubbish.
them.
Mm.
um, then we moved on to a transfer roundup. A lot of interesting ones. Forest were busy. Then NFL stuff. We touched on the Chiefs on the season preview for them and how far they can go this year. And then the Raiders. Are they going to be underdogs? What are they going to do? And then lastly, we wrapped up with the best players under 25 in the NFL as our draft. So I think, Shane, you did the best that you've done on these under 25 drafts because you kind of,
Yeah, after geez, I made an abysmal effort at the other two. Like the other two were actually embarrassing. So I really did have to bring myself back to show that I do know my sports. So I finally gotten one right this time round.
yeah, that was a good one. So if you're still here at the end, we appreciate you because it's a bit of a long episode and we cover a
Mm.
lot. So we'll let you get into it and enjoy everything that's ahead. Right, let's start with football this week. We've got a couple of topics to touch on from stuff that happened over the weekend, but also to look over last weekend, but also to look at like what's coming up this weekend in terms of games. So the first thing was VAR. Pretty much what's the point of it and what is the half of the rules that they're using in this game anymore because there's too many to touch on. What one do you want to touch on first? Because it was too many from last weekend.
I actually want to start in defense of Everton and talk about the James Tarkowski handball because it kind of feeds into handball as well. Because what is a handball? Um, that's not a penalty for me.
No,
That's
no.
not. His hand couldn't be more by his side. He's leaning across. Yes, he's leaning across to try and block it. He's not got his arm stretched out to try and block it. His hand is literally almost
He's
behind his
pulling it
back.
behind his back.
Yeah, like how are they not overturning that? But then looking at the Senesi one for Bournemouth against Liverpool, where he's played basketball and saying, "Oh yeah, it's leave that one alone." Then jumping on a rule. I'm sorry, we're actually going to talk about them all. Touching on a rule where Mark A is in the wall, like no one cares. Everyone thought it was for a push. It's like even at the push, it's a stretch. No, it's
Yeah.
because he got too close to Chelsea wall, and it's first game of the season, so we need to set this all out. It's just no. I'm sorry, it's absolutely ridiculous, and I've always been an advocate for VAR. I think
Mhm.
if it's used properly, it is a benefit. Look at it in rugby; it's incredible. They made 18 errors last year, the referees on VAR. It was down from 31 the season before, but 18 is still too many. That's
Mhm.
half.
One
That's
every
so
2 weeks
like
now.
each team plays 38 games. That's yeah, it's one every 2 weeks. That's criminal. Okay, it's down from 31 out of 38. That's brilliant. Fair play. Well done. Big clap.
And that's
18
what
is
like
ridiculous.
subjective as well to be like, oh, we got this wrong, but
Subjective,
they
yeah.
don't admit most of the things they got wrong too. So like they'll probably say that maybe one thing was wrong last weekend, whereas I could pick out five. So I agree with you with the
It's
penalty for Everton. There's no way that's a handball. He's pulling his hand back. His body's in a natural position. It's extremely harsh. How they can't overturn that is beyond me. And then, like you said, looking at Senesi, like how can you determine that he didn't stretch his hand towards the ball when he did? You can
yeah,
see him. He moves his hand to the ball. So how is
he
that
knows
not a
exactly what he's
handball?
doing.
Like how is that not?
Yeah,
And the other one
and
is.
then it's a free kick to Bournemouth was the end result.
Yeah,
Like that was actually that was the funniest part of it. Is like, oh yeah, I'll just give a free kick to Bournemouth now. It's like
just
how
scrambling
on
like
earth are you
everything.
giving a free kick to Bournemouth? Like it's just it's week one and we've already had all this
Yeah,
like and I can't I like as you said you could pick out five. I probably could as well from the weekend. There's a couple of just horrific decisions already. If as like this is I think this is the eighth season of VAR, and while it's
but
probably getting better, it's still far too far away from being a reliable use,
yeah,
especially with the state of some of the refereeing as well. The refereeing is
yeah.
as bad as the VAR, but
And I think the to touch back on the Crystal Palace one, like he like if you're gonna give something there, give it for Gay. He's shoving him because in like
mm,
yeah, he's just stronger than him, but he does basically essentially picks him up how much he grabs him. Like I haven't seen players do what he did before. So if they gave a free because they said they pushed him, that's fine. But they're referring some
fair
fine
enough.
print
Yeah,
rule that nobody ever follows. You have to be away like 1 meter away. When does that happen? Sometimes there's players standing in the wall from the other team.
yeah.
Like
And to
it,
see then the referee putting down a line that was a meter away from the wall for the next free kick to Chelsea got in the second half.
just
Someone
ridiculous.
put a
Like
video up as well of a free kick in the exact same position or close enough at the same end that Reece James scored last year.
yeah.
That a Chelsea player does the same thing, pushes a whatever team's player out of the way to give him a free pass, push him into the wall. It's just
And it's not even that like the refs are not giving things to certain teams. Like there's like every team is like feeling the pain of this, and you could say okay, it's going to
yeah,
even out across the season, but that's not the point because
it doesn't.
you'd say that with the old way of things, like just normal refereeing, things will even out across the season. So why do we have to suffer through this every week. And in the United game, I don't
Yeah,
understand how that's not a penalty on Cunha. Like he doesn't touch the ball, and then you have whatever ref I can't remember who it was, Mike Dean or something is who's working for Sky Sports now, just absolutely waffling and like defending his ref buddies, being like, "Oh, foot on foot contact isn't a penalty." What are you talking about? So you can kick
since
someone in the
when?
foot,
Yeah, since when?
and then you have
And
Dermot Gallagher on
Cunha's
Sky Sports.
controlling that ball.
Yeah, he's about to
Cunha's
touch it.
controlling that ball. And he's about to either shoot or roll it back for someone to roll it into corner. He's 4 yards out from goal. He's going to roll it back max to 8 yards. Someone's going to
Mm-hmm.
come on and but no, it's okay for Saliba to completely wipe him out. Um, I backed United and Everton in this, which goes to show how bad it's gotten. Like that this is the level that this is the kind of level they put me on where I'm backing up the those two teams. Like it's
Yeah.
just and
And
it's cost United a point. It's cost
mhm,
Everton a point. And thankfully, the Senesi one didn't cost Liverpool a point.
it
It's
could have.
potentially cost Palace 2 points. It
Mhm.
could have, yeah. Like all these, like they're saying, oh, these aren't match affecting decisions. Three of the four of them that we've spoken about were match affecting decisions.
Yeah. And
Like
then
it's crazy.
the way that Sky is covering it then is just like now you can't like I'll just take it in and then just be like, oh, I know already like what they're gonna say. Like they just try to rage bait Man United fans because they know that they go crazy online and they do. Like there's a certain set of fans that it's easy to rage bait and Man United is one of them.
Mm,
And they always do it. Like I knew before I clicked into it, like your man Gallagher is going to be like, "Oh no, I agree with that. That's a great decision. Like there's nothing wrong there. Not enough in it for me." And I was just like, I could have just wrote the script. And then you switch to
mm,
the next one, and it was the Senesi one. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, the referee just made a mistake there. You know, he should have given a red card for that one." So he's agreeing with that, but not the other because he knows it's easy to rage bait. A certain like Sky Sports is not a proper source of analysis anymore
no.
because
But
they're just
even the way he
selecting fan
said about,
bases.
yeah, even the way he said about the United one was, oh, it's one that if the referee gives on the pitch, then it's not going to be overturned. Well, then it's a correct decision.
Yeah, then it's a penalty.
So not giving it is an incorrect decision. So how have you decided that neither of you are going to look at it? The referee's not going to be sent to look at it. The VAR are going to say, oh yeah. It's grand. He's only kicked both of his heels and knocked him over. It's a penalty all day.
Yeah.
The Leeds one is not a penalty. The Senesi one is the red cards. Mark Gay one is a bit okay. It
On the
probably is a foul,
fence, but
but
the
it's
rule is
not.
the
It's
rule they
the
use is
reason they've
wrong.
given is ridiculous. Like just use it properly. It's week one. Like we've another 37 weeks of this to go through, and
Hmm.
there's going to be mistakes pretty much every single week. I reckon it's going to. It's if it was 18 last year, if we keep count of what we think are mistakes, I guarantee you we'll hit 40 before the season finishes.
Easily should be that by Christmas if they keep this up. But
Yeah.
moving on to actual football and not the ridiculous system that's set in place. We've got two big games. We've got a few big games, but two we've looked at specifically is City versus Spurs, 12:30 on Saturday. Nice way to start the weekend. It's going to be a very interesting game. What's your take on
Mm.
how this is going to go?
I think Spurs are going to cause a surprise. I don't think Spurs are losing this game. I think it will be a draw. To be honest, I know it's the first game at the City Stadium, the Etihad, whatever it's called. Is it the Etihad?
Yeah, I think
It
so.
is the Etihad, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so.
So it's the first game at the Etihad. Their last five games, it's actually mad when I was looking at three wins to City and two wins to Spurs in the last five. So they've clearly they've been very, very back and forth with each other over the last while. There was, of course, the 4-0 that Spurs went and did there last season. I don't think we're going to see a repeat of that. But I think it will probably be a draw.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're like I don't know if I'm gonna go draw or a win for City here, but in terms of how I think it's gonna go, I think it's gonna be definitely a game where both teams score because
Mm,
like City are just relentless attacking wise, and they have too many talents. So no matter how well Thomas Frank has Spurs set up, they're gonna score. Same as the way PSG scored against them. It's
yeah.
inevitable when you have a team that attacks that well. But I think it'll definitely be both teams to score. City looked open against Wolves. I know the scoreline didn't reflect it, but Wolves didn't play that badly. They were just very wasteful when
Mm,
they got into attacking positions. So if they actually have had been more precise, like Spurs more than likely will, like they were against PSG, they'll probably get a goal or two in this game, and City will probably get a goal or two. So I actually like that shout of a draw, and I'm gonna go 2-2 maybe. I think could be a good one, and it'll be interesting to watch Reinders to see if he's able to find as much space as he was last week.
yeah.
Now that he's playing against a Thomas Frank drilled team, that'll be a very interesting one.
Yeah, I
But
said that there was a couple of things that from the Wolves game. Um, the big man really, really looked back to himself, Erling Haaland. I thought
mm,
he was he was a menace without touching the ball much. I think there was this stage before his goal, he went 20 minutes without touching the ball and then just taps in at the back post. His second finish is just ridiculous. It's just lethal. He really looked back to himself. Reinders, I thought, was just a joy to watch, unfortunately. He
yes,
looks like a
so good.
proper Pep Guardiola player, a really, really good Pep Guardiola player. And I think Van de Ven and Romero are going to have quite an evening, or sorry, quite a
Mm.
morning to have field kickoff. I think they're going to have quite a tough run in the park, so we'll see how it goes. Neither team is getting a clean sheet. I think 2-2 all is a really, really fair shout, but I can't go the same as you, so I'm just going to go 1-1. I'm not saying 3-all, that would be ridiculous. It's going to be 12:30 on a Saturday.
Yeah, that would be some way to start the weekend with a 3-3. But another player, we have already mentioned him, but just to shout before we move on, is Kudus. There'll be a lot of space when
Mm,
City go forward. If he can use the space properly, like he did against Burnley and like we saw at times against PSG, he'll definitely give chances, but it's just up to Richarlison and Johnson maybe to finish them. So looking at another one that has an interesting backstory right now, obviously you'll all know the Isak situation. So there's been dueling statements where, he said he wanted to go. There's obviously stuff with the agent at play. Newcastle said that he didn't want to go. Liverpool probably came in too low with their initial bid. Sometimes that can work out for you. Sometimes it can sour the
Goes against
start
you.
of the kind
Mm,
of bidding.
the pros.
But let's look at what's going to happen on the pitch. It's going to be a fiery encounter, I think, with everything that's going on. How I see it going is I think it's again there's going to be goals because Liverpool leave themselves open. I know Newcastle don't have a striker; they couldn't score against Villa, but Villa were incredibly compact. They stayed back nearly the whole game when they knew it wasn't on for them, and then they got their red card. But Liverpool are going to be open. Newcastle have pace on the attack, so I think both teams to score again could be a shout. And I think the Newcastle midfield may overpower Liverpool. I think Wirtz is going to get lumps kicked out of him in this game because that's just what Newcastle like to do a lot when they
Mm.
want to settle into a team and show them what playing in St James's is really about. It's just a very interesting game. What way do you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I think the Liverpool players are going to need helmets and two sets of shin guards each because they're going to just be kicked around the place. Um, I don't think Liverpool will be as open as they were against Bournemouth for the simple reason is that Frimpong is out for the next two matches. And Conor Bradley is also not fit. So I think it will probably be Joe Gomez who goes in at right back.
Right.
And it will probably be more like a three at the back nearly all the time. They'll probably just leave the two centre backs and Gomez
Mm-hmm.
back and Kirkes will drive on. I still think both teams score is a good shout because it's going to be Liverpool are playing it's a completely different system this year to they were last year. It's really, really a 3-2, 4-3-2-1, 4-2-3-1. God, it's really, really that this year with first is really way higher. So they are sitting with two. It would probably be with Gavin Burt and McAllister this time around, where it was
Yeah, that'll be an improvement.
McAllister and Sabazai last week. He could be Sabazai right back as well. If there was talk of that today, if that's the case, then it's definitely both teams to score because
Yeah.
he'll spend more time on the edge of their box instead of his box. I think Liverpool will win it. I think Newcastle it's going to be very emotionally charged. Newcastle fans are going to boo the life out of Liverpool every time they touch it, and I think Liverpool will just have a small bit too much. I'm going to say 3-1 Liverpool.
Okay. I think you make an interesting point about the way things are set up by bringing up Joe Gomez because a guy when I think I tweeted after the first game about how Semenyo's goal was an absolute cracker the way he sent Allison, a Liverpool
Mm,
fan, was got on to me back on Twitter and saying about how poor they were defensively. And I said that if they did sign another centre back, it could be a possibility that they play a centre back at full back and then allow one of the wing backs to go up, which is what you're saying they might do. I think that would
yeah,
definitely work better. But I would be wary if that centre back is Joe Gomez because if he's on the right hand side and Canada is also there, if Newcastle play Gordon on the left, which I think they definitely should play him on the left and not up front, they
I
should
don't
put.
think they will though. I think he still plays up front again.
But even if they do, it's going to be Barnes on the left. He's still rapid. Whoever's there is
Mm,
he's gonna cook him there. So I think that's if it was someone else, then yeah, that system works. I'm a bit worried about Gomez. I find it hard to pick
I thought
Newcastle
he,
to win when they have no striker. So I'm
yeah,
gonna go double up on the draws here, and
the draws.
I'm gonna go 2-2 again. Let's go for 2-2-2s for the crack.
I thought Gomez was excellent when he came on against Bournemouth.
Yeah, he settled the team. He did definitely,
Yeah,
but
I
the
thought
same
he made a
team
massive difference
against.
when he came on, and I don't think he has 90 minutes in him. He missed pretty much missed all of pre-season. Um, so like even if he does start there and you get 60 out of him, you're going to have to put Sabas or someone in there for the last half an hour. So that's where I do think Newcastle will get the joy, especially if Bradley and Frimpong are both out. You've no natural right back. So I think that's where Newcastle will get joy. But I just don't see. I don't think Liverpool are going to be as open as they were. I think Liverpool are just going to want to get these games won and just kind of like last year there was a 3-3 draw. But the
Yeah,
season before Liverpool won both games. The only game in the last five to beat now was the League Cup final, and that was just Liverpool very, very bad that day. They just made like McAllister, American Dan Burn. If I see that from the start, from the first corner on Monday, if I see McAllister, American Dan Burn,
you
I'll
know
probably
it's
just turn
over.
the TV off and go for a long walk because that's only going to end up one way again. I just think Liverpool will hopefully be too strong. Ekitike looked unbelievable against Bournemouth as well. Beard
Yeah,
loves
he was
finding little
very good.
pockets of space. So just hopefully they can link up again. Salah as well.
I think
Hopefully we see
Verts
the
had
Salah
a.
that we had.
Sorry, go ahead.
I hope we see the Salah we had last year and not last week. I
Yeah.
know he got his goal, but he was really out of the play. I was saying to my father that I think there's going to be a bit of a battle between do we play through Salah or do we play through Wirtz, and I think it's going to take a while for that to settle down, which is probably why Salah was so out of the game at the last weekend. So we'll
Yeah,
see. I just
they
think we'll win.
really weren't even touching his side. I thought Gakpo was quite impressive as
No,
well. Um,
brilliant,
but
yeah.
I think Verts had a tough time just with the physicality, but the actual play on the ball when he has the space, there's clearly no issues there. But that takes time
Yeah,
usually for. I
absolutely.
have no issue with the physicality. He's big, strong. I really liked the look of him. Um,
Yeah, he's a monster.
I regretted swapping in Watkins for him at the last minute on my fantasy team, but that's the way it goes. One more to keep an eye on. We're not going to preview it, but another one is a really interesting. Is Palace are playing Forest because of the whole European
Yes.
situation, and Mr. Marinakis, I'm sure, will be watching. So that's another one to keep an eye on for you.
Yeah. Mr. Marinakis himself.
So we've got our man Michael back once again. This time he's rocking the tash. He's ready to go. He's locked in for some NBA season previews. How are you, Mike?
Thank you. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm ready to come in, bring in, you know, that good energy I brought in last time. There's no Lakers, there's no LeBron, so I had to cape for a different team on this
Oh
special
yes.
special occasion.
If you're not watching, if you're just listening, first of all, tune into YouTube now so you can see all of our beautiful faces. But also Michael is rocking the 76ers t-shirt. As you know, I'm a Sixers fan as well, so I opted just to wear something blue and not a Sixers top for cutting the clips up because people will think we're a Sixers pod. So at least we've got one man repping the good thing. But we're going to hit them in a few minutes. We're going to start with the Cavs. So we're continuing on our NBA season previews with the four questions that we've started with last week. So first up is the Cavs, as I just mentioned, but where do they need to improve most from last season? I'll throw it to you first, Michael.
Well, I think first of all, you can't predict Darius Garland's injury, okay? So I think that was a huge blow to them, especially in the playoffs. But I think if Ty Jerome played the same way he did in the regular season in the playoffs and didn't lay an egg for the whole series, I think we have a much different conversation. I think uh, what they need to do is find a replacement for that. So they've signed Lonzo Ball, which I feel like is a swing,
Mm-hmm.
especially at this point with his like bionic knee. But if it works, I mean, they're imagining the 2021 Bulls, like when it was in that 20
Yeah,
game stretch where they were looking great.
the one
But
seed.
I think uh I think interestingly enough, I think Tyrese Proctor as a rookie is a nice look. I think they're looking for someone to develop kind of into that like off the bench role who can kind
Mm-hmm.
of play point a little bit, especially if Darius Garland goes out. Now,
So
rookie's always a big guy to kind of like ask to step up.
yeah, that's true. But like, if we were to pinpoint like one specific thing that you wanted them to improve on, what do you think would be key to their success?
Helping Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Somebody has to give some sort of consistent guard play beside Donovan Mitchell, especially when they need it the most. Regular season is great, but seems like every playoffs he's trying to drop 65 points.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that ties in perfectly with what I said actually, because I just said their playoff performance because Darius Garland was excellent during the regular season. In general, they were so good as a team, just putting everybody away, mostly after like three quarters. They had a 9.5 differential across the season, so that was only a plus 9.5, should I say? And that was only second to OKC. So I think the injuries, yeah, that was bad, and some luck may help them, but they need to translate what they do in the regular season to the playoffs. Did you have anything different than that, Shane?
No, I had the same with you. Their playoff execution needs to be better next year. I think we can all agree that they are going to be a playoff team again this season coming. So it's just about actually making a decent run in the playoffs next year for me.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the clearest thing because of how good they were last year. But if we look at someone who's maybe under the radar that might help the team going into the season, which one player did you pick out, Shane?
I've gone with Max Strus. There's a belief there is a championship within reach for them, and if he just keeps going, keeps being a quietly influential player in Cleveland, then I think they can get there next year. There's no real rookie that stands out coming into next season, obviously. So I've just gone with someone that's a bit kind of good player, but remains under the radar, Max Strus.
Yeah. Michael, did you have anybody different?
Uh Honestly, I was thinking about this hard and I feel like DeAndre Hunter, especially with Ty Jerome going out, has a really good chance to step up, kind of get back into the form where he was, where he's a more looked after option in the offense and stuff. I feel like he came in late at the end of the season, kind of struggled to fit in fully. I think they could do so much with him,
Yeah,
especially with how big he is and how they can use him on defense as well.
yeah, that's the exact same answer I had. Gives them juice off the bench. He'll probably put up 15 points at least per game, as you mentioned now with Jerome gone. That could take a higher jump. He gives opponents something to think about if he plays with one of Mitchell or Garland at the same time as him. It gives the team that they're playing another thought. If Mobley also steps up a little bit and you have that size of Hunter and he's able to shoot the three, but he can also drive with the ball, it gives them something else to think about. And I think he's probably going to be somebody that could help a lot in a playoff situation too, if they rely a little bit more on him and he settles into the team. So I like that shout. Looking at their over under wins, then it's projected at 55.5 with the bookies. I'll give my thoughts on this. I said that yes, they're going to hit this mark. I know it's really high, but last year they hit 64. Then there's no Boston to contend with this time around in the East. They'll cruise through the regular season like they did again last year. And that was kind of even restricting minutes for the likes of Donovan Mitchell and some of their other players in fourth quarter of games. I think they have more in the tank if they need to go after it in the regular season. So I think, yeah, I'm probably going to hit around the 60 mark. So I think that's a pretty decent line. I'm happy enough to take the over on that. What did you have there, Michael?
I had the over as well. Thought about it. 55.5 seems like a lot for a team that we just saw kind of flame out. But if you think about it, most of the team is really the same. They have, like, we both think DeAndre is going to have a big season, but even with Lonzo Ball in there, I think regular season, you're looking at maybe they drop 7 games, but that's still 57. I still think they hit the over on it.
Yeah. What did you have, Shane?
Yeah, same. Same. Yeah, they're going over. They're too good not to go over this line. And as you said, there's no set to contend with. They still have the same team as I think Michael just kind of touched on there as well. So they're not dropping from 64 down to 54. So yeah, they should be
Yeah.
absolutely fine to go over here.
Yeah, even if they perform like it's a good point if they can still afford to have like 8 less wins, which is a little bit of a drop, like a good bit of a drop,
Mm.
and still hit over on that line. So I actually think it's pretty conservative for them. I think they're well capable of it. They're probably the best team in the East, battling maybe with the Knicks, like we talked last week about them. So looking at the ceiling with the current roster and coach for the season ahead, at an absolute push, how high do you think they can go, Shane?
They can win it. I don't think there's any real need to kind of go too high into it. Like 64 wins last year, I know they fell away in the playoffs. If we are talking about their absolute ceiling, they can definitely win it.
Yeah, I think I had the same. I said championship is on the cards. I think Kenny Atkinson is an excellent coach. He showed his worth last season in the regular season, but obviously the playoffs fell a little bit. They have more than enough to take the East. And I think they're the type of team that has the strength and depth if things work out, that they'll still have enough in the tank to beat one of the bigger teams from the West. I don't think probably there's probably no other team in the East that I'm gonna say could win a championship as their ceiling. Honestly, I right at this point right now, they're probably the only team I could see doing that. From the position that we're looking, I know we mentioned Knicks could get there. I don't think either of us said we thought they could win it. But what did you have, Michael?
I had Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know what it is about the team. You guys are both absolutely correct. And I'm looking at my list here on the right where it has the Eastern Conference teams, and I kind of like had my kind of little prediction for next season and stuff. And they're at the top. I have absolutely nothing to say. They almost definitely will be a 1 seed if injuries doesn't kill them, but I get that playoffs gave me a bad feeling, and I question how they're going to do next season, especially with some of these other Eastern Conference teams that are kind of retooled.
Mm.
Now, last season, I don't think anyone could have given them a problem, but I feel a lot better about like the Knicks, Pistons, and Magic. Even if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think it takes 5 or 6 games in each series, and maybe they just hit a wall in the finals. But I just can't see them making the finals.
Yeah, that's fair enough argument.
I don't believe.
Based on what they've done the last number of years in the playoffs, it's hard to argue with your point. And to see them expand, coming back to your first point, to expand around Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs and give him some help. Like, we haven't seen it yet, so it's hard to believe. But I think the thing for me, and I touched last week, is that the Knicks will probably find it harder to beat the likes of the Magic and the Pistons than the Cavs will because of their physicality. And I think that they might come unstuck in that way, whereas I don't see the Cavs doing that. But it's interesting to have both sides of the coin. Let's move on then to the Sixers. Our team, both of us are Sixers fans, of course. Where they need to improve most from last
I'll
season.
leave this to you, Willie.
We'll throw it to you first, Shane, since you have the unbiased view. But of course, we're coming here from a factual point of view, just looking at it on paper. But we'll throw it to you first, Shane. Where do they need to improve most from last season?
I think they need to somehow keep people fit. Obviously, it's a simple thing to say, but Embiid, George, McCain all missed time last season. It just really, really affected the season throughout. Joel Embiid probably missed more than he played. I just think if you could just get people fit, we could see a completely different 76ers team.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. I didn't say exactly to keep them fit. I just said to manage them correctly. Because if any of you read that ESPN article in the summer about Joel Embiid, it's just basically a class in mismanagement by an organization of your star player. If you want to know how not to manage your player correctly, that's exactly how to do it. So if they can actually figure out how to manage him correctly and listen to him, because he knows himself. And now Paul George is another player that they have to manage, but mostly Embiid. If they manage him correctly, that's the biggest thing they can do this season. What did you have for this, Michael?
I had fire the whole medical. No, I had the same as you guys. It was manage the injuries better. It just as soon as last season, I was so high on us, and I knew we weren't going to get Paul George. I keep saying we. It's supposed to be unbiased. I knew the Sixers weren't going to get MVP OKC Paul George, but I expected him to contribute in some level. And then, to be fair to him, at the times he was probably at his healthiest in the season, we had to ask him to play power forward and center.
Yeah.
Because 90% of the team felt like they were injured all the time from about a third of the way through. And I think as soon as Paul George hyperextended his knee in that preseason game, he should have been shut down for a month, 2 months. Trying to rush him back for the start of the season. I don't think Sixers fans need a good first 2 weeks. If we kind of suck for the first 3 months and then people start coming back fully 100% healthy and we have a good end to the season, I think people are going to appreciate that a lot more than trying to get Paul George 6th man of the year this year, or try and get Embiid to get comeback player of the year or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It's pointless, any of that stuff. The main thing is the playoffs, and they haven't had the success, and that's what fans want to see. And to just be open as well is another thing with the fans, about what the issues are and when the player is probably going to come back. And that's how you do it, because if you manage it correctly, you can be honest. Whereas if you're doing this stuff where you're not correctly managing the player and you're trying to force them back in, that's when you say, oh, we're not sure. Because you're not sure, because you're forcing them to do something they're not ready to do. So that's another issue altogether. But if they can cut out some of that, that would be a benefit. Looking at one under the radar player that I like for the team, I'll go first here. I had Justin Edwards. The shot improved last year a lot. He was asked to do quite a lot when he stepped into the team. Now he's the kind of guy that can fight for everything. He fought very hard for what he has right now, the contract that he has. He had a difficult final college year. The Sixers took a flyer on him as an undrafted rookie. They've locked him down now. He's only 21. He's got the size. He can defend pretty much any position on the court. And if his shot is consistently falling, that helps the team even more. Even if it's not, he adds a defensive presence that isn't there with some of the other players. So I'm really impressed with him, and I hope I think he will be a future staple of the team, and in the long run. Michael, who did you have there?
I had a feeling you were gonna go Justin Edwards because I really, really like him as well. So had to go different. My one under the radar player, I think, for this season is going to be Kelly Oubre, which sounds insane. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm not asking Kelly Oubre to have a breakout season, but I do think last season, especially with everything falling apart around him, there's some quotes about him in the media. I think it was partly will will in term of his down season. I think if they're competitive even halfway through the season, if they're not at the bottom of the table, if they're the 7-6 seed, I think he's
Mm-hmm.
going to play a lot better. A shot maybe has an upturn in efficiency from the 3-point,
It needs
especially
to,
with
really.
Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey, on the floor at the same time as him. And he also is kind of a dog. He brings sort of an edge to the team. He's not afraid to be physical. He's not afraid to get a tech. And I think the Sixers have always been good with having one or two of those people, which is probably why Kyle Lowry is still on the team.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that as well, because like, although it is a bit of a rogue shout to throw Uber in there, I think he has a lot more in him. And I loved him the first season with the Sixers where he almost had to prove it. And he almost has to prove it again because he's in the second year of his contract. And if he played like he did last year, he ain't getting another contract that's similar to this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he has to prove it once again. But you're right. I actually really like to watch him when he's on form. Shane, did you have somebody different to who we picked?
Yeah, so I've gone kind of on the radar rather than under the radar because I honestly, when I was looking through the roster, like everyone I know is definitely known. Like I wasn't going picking Kelly Oubre. I didn't watch enough of the Sixers last year to know that he was going to go under the radar. So I've gone with VJ Edgecombe,
Nice.
the draft pick. I think he is a potential monster.
Hmm.
If they can get him flying from game one, keep his confidence up, keep him fit like the rest of them, I think he could be a menace to absolutely anyone they come up against this season.
Yeah, love that show. Any Sixers fan would be happy to hear that one because that's one that's certainly you pick like a guy that high when you have the chance. You want him to work out, and it looks like it's gonna. He's
Definitely.
in the gym with Tyrese every morning at 6 a.m. So let's keep that up. Do we think they'll hit the over under with their bookies this year? So with the bookies, should I say, not their bookies. But it's 42 and a half. That's the wins. 24 wins last season. What do we think, Shane?
Sorry, guys. It's the under for me. You're not adding another 20 games to what you did this. No, not a hope. I'm sorry. You don't just go from being that rubbish to a team that's going to walk into playoff fixture. Like, it's just not happening. And I can tell the first thing Michael said to me when I came on the call was taking the over with the Sixers is the easiest pick of all time. I was like, oh, not for
Yeah.
me, it wasn't. So I can't wait to hear your reasoning for going over here because I don't see it. I don't see where you're adding 20 games to what you not 20, sorry, but say 15 games of what you did last year. I just don't see it.
Okay, Michael, make the argument.
Yes,
Okay.
Michael.
I'd like to state my case, Judge. Okay. Have to take the over. Now, I get the worry. Joel Embiid's going to be out. Okay, we're kind of expecting that. It's okay. He's not going to be there for 35 games. I'm going to put it in now.
Mhm.
But I think he is going to. I think they do plan to have him in the schedule and to manage him a lot differently than they've managed him in the past. He's had his MVP. He's had his scoring seasons. He knows he needs to win in the playoffs as well. And then I think Trendon Watford is a great, forward signing for us. That I think will just kind of help stabilize that back end, especially if, God forsake, Andre Drummond decides to go down again and we need a
Forget him.
backup center or a third string center. I don't think we need to ask Paul George to
No.
step down to the paint, you know? And I think with kind of how Morey has situated the team, I think you definitely see at least 14 more wins. And you're hoping that Paul George doesn't just explode halfway through the season again. But, you know,
There's an
there's a
awful
lot
lot
of
to the bit.
hoping.
Yeah, there's an
There's a
awful
lot
lot
of
of ifs and
hoping.
buts. An awful lot of ifs and buts in this.
There
This
always
is not
with
a
the
this is not a
Sixers, though.
convincing argument.
There
It's
always
It
absolutely
is.
not a
just
convincing argument.
okay.
Let me
Here's the
give my
thing:
let
if
me
it
give
happens
my case here.
again,
Let me give my case.
okay, go.
Okay, so I've gone 42.5 wins. Yes, I've also gone with the over. I think I agree with Michael. It's one of the easiest ones you can take because, like last season, the team. Let me just say this now: they would have won 35 games if they actually wanted to. They were not trying to win for the last 20 games. They were trying to lose on purpose. That's the first point that you have to remember tanking in the NBA. Second of all, if they want to make it into any type of seeding, which I think they will in this East, which is weak, they're going to have to get 44, 45 wins. If they just played Paul George and Embiid together in games, and if there was a back-to-back, they rested both of them, they still hit this. Because the both of them stay healthy, and they might pick up a win against another team without those two guys. Because as you mentioned, now they've got some more depth. They've got Watford, who is also close to being somebody under the radar for me there. They've got Adam Bona. They've got Johnny Broom, who they drafted if he does need to come in and play a bit more than is probably expected. They've got people who can actually cover now for once, and that's really important. So, look, we spent too much time on the Sixers over under wins. As expected, me and Michael said yes, Shane said no. You guys can decide who's right. What's the ceiling then with the current roster and coach for the season ahead? I'm going to take it that me and Michael will have a different answer here to Shane. So I'm going to get the ball rolling
Maybe
and
not.
say,
Maybe not.
I'm going to say Eastern Conference Finals. I can see the young roster with some of the vets leading in the playoffs. I know they haven't done it in a long time, but if they manage things correctly, like we've highlighted they need to do, then they can definitely get very far because they have the pieces. People say this whole two different timelines thing all the time, which I can't understand because in every other sport, you need young players and you need older players, and that's what they have. And the teams who have that often do work out quite well in the NBA. So teams need to stop with this. Media needs to stop with this two timelines crap because I think it is actually well done when you have a lot of young players, but you have some older guys like the likes of Kyle Lowry. He might not play, but then you also have Embiid, Paul George, and Uber are going to pick up minutes. So I think it's a nice balance. Michael, what do you have?
I had two answers. I
Oh
had
God.
with Embiid. I basically have the same answer as you, James. I think it's Eastern Conference Finals as a total. Honestly, deep down, I really wanted to say finals, especially with the asterisk that with Embiid is healthy and their team isn't falling apart or he isn't falling apart in the playoffs. But even just a second round win would do so much for, I think, Joel Embiid and for the Sixers organization as well. I think it's
Just to
got to
get to
be
the
the
finals,
ceiling
the
until
Eastern
they
Conference
prove
Finals,
otherwise.
which just means so much.
It just would, like, after all the years, it just being able to at least have the shirts would be nice.
Well, is it going to be yes, sirs, but it's going to be XERS. We're going to just copy the Pacers one. We'll just rip them off. Shane, what do you have for this one?
First of all, the Rockets are trying to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're a mile ahead of where you are.
So the
So I
Rockets are
don't
in
know
the West,
where you're getting
so
this confidence from.
I don't know how they're going to get into the
I
Eastern
know.
Conference Finals.
Sorry, Rockets are trying to get into a conference final as well. I think you can win a playoff. You can win one playoff series
I'd
at an
take it.
absolute push. Yeah, fair enough.
Uh,
If you keep them all healthy and they can do what you really think they can do, then I think you can win a playoff series at a push. That's it. I don't. You're not getting to a finals. Not this year. Maybe next year.
well,
So, okay,
No.
hypothetically,
yeah.
No.
this team is healthy and you think one playoff series.
If it's healthy, That's crazy because Embiid, if healthy, is probably one of the best players to have played in the last
Well,
30 years.
what is healthy for Embiid now? Like health, like
We're just saying
you're
if
not getting
healthy.
the Embiid of
If healthy, where are they going?
Well, okay, let's put it like this. Joel Embiid averages like 26 on
That's a
30,
bad game.
average.
28 minutes. And that's a bad game. But if he did that to add to everyone else on this team and Paul George doesn't need to score over 20 points, Quentin Grimes stays, and then you have Jared McCabe and Tyrese Maxey, that's a crazy team to play against in the second round.
And the
Let's
bench
see.
is loaded. So yeah, I
Let's
think
see.
this is one to come back to. And again, like I
Yeah.
said already, with the Sixers, it's always ifs. And so if they could eliminate the ifs, they'd be doing something good for once. Let's move on to the
To
Nets
be
then.
fair, they would have won.
Go ahead.
They
Go
would
ahead.
have won like 6 years ago if they could eliminate the
Yeah.
ifs.
Yes, exactly. Ben Simmons not able to shoot under the basket, but anyway.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nets. Ugh, God, let's quick fire this one because I don't want to spend too much time on the Brooklyn
Mm.
Nets. But where do they need to improve most from last season? I'm going to say that, first of all, the defense wasn't even that bad when they tried. It was actually not the worst, but the offense was woeful. Not
Mm.
sure if that improves at all, as they're probably going to bottom out again, but that's where it needs to improve the most for me. What did you have, Shane?
Same. Offensively, they were just a shambles, except when they played the Rockets in a back-to-back. The rest of the season, they were just horrific. Like it was actually embarrassing at time watching them. But yeah, they really need to improve their offense.
Yeah. What you have, Mike?
I had the exact same thing, just offense underlined 6 times.
Fair.
Exactly like
So
you
bad.
said, Shane. Honestly, it was woeful. Like
Mm.
it was actually sad how it looked sometimes.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But you can always bet on a Cam Johnson step back. That's what we can confirm
It's gone
after
now.
82 games.
It's gone. He's with the
Yeah.
Nuggets. Now you're gonna have to get a Michael Porter Jr. step back, and yeah, God help you. Uh, who's one under the radar player that you like for the team, Shane?
Danny Wolf, the rookie, 7'1",
Bang!
7'2" wingspan. Let's
What a
go.
pick.
I think if they're going to have anything, it's going to be him this season.
Adam too. Center out of Michigan, 10 boards, 13 points
Yeah.
in the final
Unreal.
season there. Not afraid to shoot the three. He can pass a little too. I like the guy. Mike, who did you have? He seems like your type of player.
The exact player I'd love to see.
I actually think that's a bad sign that all three of us went at it, looked at this and said they've only one good player and it's Danny Wolf.
Well, I really wanted to choose Igor Demin, but
Yeah, no.
I watched his college stuff and the non-shooting, I see so much of Ben Simmons, I can't. I just can't, okay? I have to stay away from it for my own health.
Yeah, I looked at him in for a little bit as well, but then quickly I was like, no, what am I doing here? Wolf is the pick. So then looking at the over under 21.5, they had 26 wins last year, but they have a completely different team now with a whole pile of first round picks that maybe none of them will be good. It's hard to know. We're hoping our boy Danny Wolf will be, but I'm going to go under because I think they're going to try and lose really badly, like Hornets Wizards level badly, where you get under 20 wins, even though it's ridiculously low. I just think last year they got very low and they actually were winning games when they didn't want to. Now they're going to just be losing. They won't be able to help it. So I think, yeah, I'm going under. Mike, what you have?
I went over.
Oh God.
But
I mean, it's so
I
low.
really I need you to understand. I mean over, I mean they like 22 games.
Scrape.
Like the 0.5 I think is going to be there. They have a Spanish professional coach who's been assistant coaching for the last 8 years. I think he's going to try and instill some sort of culture in them this year. I think having Terrence Mann, vet from the Clippers, is huge for them. Even Haywood Highsmith coming from the Heat. I think he's going to want to try and he's going to want to double down on the defense. And they were 11th last season as a total at the
Yeah,
end.
they were.
I'm pretty sure. And he's going to want to try and recreate that. As long as the offense isn't literally 29th. like it was last season, which if it's 25th, they might win 2 more games. Like, I just think they're actually angling to do something, and it's not like some of the other lottery teams that are just kind of whipping 8
Perennially
players
down there.
onto the court and hoping they don't end up on ESPN for how badly they lost.
Shaq and the fool.
But yeah, definitely not over 30, but I think over 21 and a
it is
half.
just so low that you're probably, it's not a bad argument to say. I think, Shane, you're going under as well.
Yeah, I'm going under. I'm saying 15 max. I just think they're horrific. They will beat the Rockets twice. Mark my words, they'll beat the Rockets twice. But I'm saying, yeah, they're going an 1/8 of their wins are going to come against the Rockets. Like they're just,
So
yeah.
what's their ceiling
Danny
then for
Wolf
you
for
with
4
those
threes against the Rockets.
with those Rockets wins? What's
I
their
actually,
ceiling?
I actually went with this as what's their floor, and their floor is getting the number 1 pick in the lottery. They don't have a ceiling for me. They're going to finish bottom of their conference. Yeah, their floor is hoping to get the number 1 pick in the lottery.
Yeah, I went with 23 wins. Like, what's the point here? I can't see them getting more than 23. Like, they're just, yeah, too many rookies, too many new things, too much Michael Porter Jr. Good night. Michael, what do you have for their
Yeah.
ceiling?
I felt really bad that I couldn't do anything for the playoffs. So, like I said, I wrote down my prediction for the season, and I genuinely was like, they might be an 11 seed,
Oh God.
Oh, man.
maybe a 12
Where is
seed,
their
but like that's
this is
still
worse.
horrible.
They
This is
need the
worse
30.
than you
You
picking
said they're
LeBron
not going to
in the
get
next
30
5 years
wins.
draft.
They need 30 wins to get there.
I really, I'm talking about just in the Eastern Conference, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
I look at them, I look at Washington, and I think the Raptors are in for a number 1 pick. Honestly, I don't know.
Talk about a team of individuals.
I
I actually like the Wizards a little bit. I actually like what they're doing, but maybe not next year. Funnily enough, but yeah, that's the Nets wrapped up. Sorry you guys had to listen to
Thank
that.
God.
Nice to have Michael back on once again. Really appreciate you joining us. We'll hear from you again soon. I'm sure you have lots of takes to get off your chest, and probably when we get to the Lakers, it would only be right to have you back on. So appreciate you jumping on, and we'll link your stuff down below to your Instagram and all that jazz. So thanks again, Mike.
Cheers, Mike.
Thank you guys so much.
Touching on transfers then, as we usually do, it'd only be right to start with Palace considering what's just gone down. Looks like Eze is on the way to Arsenal. I think Arsenal are reactionary here because firstly, they obviously don't want Spurs to get him,
Havertz.
and Havertz getting injured, and thirdly, because they were so stodgy against United, they were absolutely useless. And I know they won the game, but if they play like that all season, they struggle for top 4. So they need some more flair, and they've got it now with Eze.
Yeah, I think he's a really good signing. I feel sorry for Spurs. Last week they were getting Fabinho and Eze, and now it looks like they're getting neither of them.
Yeah.
I just said I didn't even think about how bad they were against United as part of this. I just think it's the Havertz injury. It's a weird replacement for Havertz because Eze
Yeah,
can't play
I
the
think it's
false
more
nine
of
the way
how
that
bad they
Hazard
were
can.
last week. They just knew they needed more flair. Honestly, I think it is.
Oh, they definitely needed something. They've spent an absolute ton of money this summer as well.
Mm.
It's gone under the radar a bit somehow, but the amount of money they've spent this summer as well is crazy that they kind of need to be winning the league. So let's see how that goes. I absolutely hate them. I hate everything about them.
The same. No, come on now. Can't be saying you hate other teams. We're being unbiased here. You just have
My
a
apologies. I
dissatisfaction with
dislike
Mikel
them.
Arteta.
Yeah.
I actually saw a stat there today. It was like Arteta has spent more money at Arsenal than Pep Guardiola has at Man City, which is crazy, considering City spend a lot of money. So yeah, I think they're in a
Yeah.
similar boat to how I kind of pointed out about Liverpool. If they keep spending this much money, they really just have to win the league. And I think Arsenal are in the same boat now, where if you don't win the league, it's a failure because you spend so much money. But I really do like the signing, and I think it's probably the best one they've made. Then let's keep rounding up as we do. looking at some of the transfers. I'll go through a few and we'll take our opinions on them. First of all, Leon Bailey's gone on loan to Roma from Aston Villa. That kind of quashes any Jadon Sancho to Roma situation, but I don't think he was willing to
Yeah.
accept
No,
the
he turned it
wages.
down.
Yeah, because for some, not to get into him again because we've touched on him before. It's
You
just
clown.
uh, mercenary kind of behavior to not just over a small fee, whatever the difference is, how much money he's already earned, but that's neither here nor there. Second is Jackson to Chachua,
Well
signed
done.
from
That was really good.
signed from Wolves, signed to Wolves from Hellas Verona for 12.5 million. I like this move because they needed a right back who can play right wing back because that's the system they play, and I think if that's what basically what he did a lot for Hellas Verona last year, and they got a nice young player in here now, and I think it's nicely set into their system, and it makes sense for them. Another one then, Ben Doak, gone from Liverpool to Bournemouth for 23.2 million euros. So, any thoughts on those?
Liam Bailey, I think, just needs to get out of the Premier League. I actually think he's a really solid player. I think Serie A will suit him. I don't know a single thing about Jackson, so I really can't comment on him. But as you said, Wolves definitely did need to bring in a right back, especially they lost Semedo. They started Keanu Hoover at the weekend, who hasn't been in favour anywhere he's been for the last 5 years, so that was a bit mad. And Ben Doak, I think it's a great move for him. I think he's definitely going to be their starting right winger, and it will be sooner rather than later as well. I think he's a class act. Liverpool have put in a buyback as well, so hopefully he comes good enough that we can, when Salah retires, maybe bring him back. Hopefully it's a loan where Bournemouth have paid 25 million to bring him in on loan for 2 or 3 years, and then Liverpool take him back.
Yeah, sometimes that's the case with these ones if they work out, and then if he doesn't, no hard feelings. But yeah,
Yeah, there's a sell-on fee as well, so Liverpool will make more money off him regardless.
yeah, similar to what United had with Elanga.
Mm.
Then another one, Arnaud Calimuendo, gone from Stade Rennes to Forest for 30 million euro. We've got Jacob Ramsey, a big one, going from Villa to Newcastle, just over 45 million euro. And then Nordi Mukiele, gone from PSG to Sunderland for 12 million euro. Thoughts on these?
Forrest went mad this week. Whatever was in the water. Mr. Marinakis really put his hand in his pockets. I think Kelly Morindo, from what I saw of him, which is very little last year, I think he is a talent. He's only 23. He's
Mm-hmm.
tall, he's strong. Now, Chris Wood last week showed that he is probably capable of scoring another 15 Premier League goals with the way he took those
Mm-hmm.
two chances last weekend, but he's a really good backup to have. Jacob Ramsey, I wonder where Newcastle are getting all this money all of a sudden. I wonder if it's that they're going to sell a certain someone to a certain somewhere, but
Oh, come on
we'll
now.
see. I think he's a really good signing, all jokes aside. I think he is not a centre mid the way that Transfer Markham have him lift here. I think he'll be playing off the left wing for him
Yeah.
or kind of in behind the striker. We'll see about that. And then Nani Madueke, I've completely made that up. I called in two different people there.
Nordi Mukiele.
Mukiele,
Yeah.
Mukiele. Sunderland just love signing big lads. I think he'd a good bit of business. Wasn't getting anywhere near or looking at PSG last year, so why not give a go in the Premier League?
Yeah. Looking at Calimuendo, I don't know a whole lot about him, but 17 goals and 4 assists last year in Ligue
Mm.
1 is not bad going. And I think a backup to Chris Wood, as you mentioned, is essential for the long run. Ramsey, I really like that deal. I think if Eddie Howe believes in a young player and he knows what he's talking about and he knows what he's doing, so getting him in, I think, is nice. Fits into the system. Let's see where he will play as things shake out. But he's a very good talent and it's a good signing. And then Mukiele last year on loan at Leverkusen, obviously under Xabi Alonso, he played on and off, played a few Champions League games. But look, 12 million euro. I think Sunderland are just banking on getting a little bit more experience there. He is 27, so next one then, Dango Ouattara, gone from Bournemouth to Brentford. I think this then knocked on to the Ben Doak deal because they then needed a right winger because they sold Ouattara and they got in Ben Doak. But 42.8 million euro is absolutely crazy. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a sec. James McAtee from City to Forest, 25.5 million euro. This is more like a decent fee for a solid player.
Yeah.
And then Amari Hutchinson from Ipswich to Forest for 43.4 million euro. Forest, as you said, going mad. What do we make of these?
I'm sorry, but who is plucking the numbers for Django Atara and Amari Hutchinson and pricing them both at well over 40 million? James McAtee at 25 million looks like an absolute steal when you look at
Yeah,
the two
yeah,
you've mentioned beside it there. James
yeah,
McAtee is a better player than both of those lads, and he's the cheapest one. He's not the youngest himself, and Hutchinson are both the same age. I think one of them just hasn't had their birthday yet, but 42 million for Django Atara is crazy from Brentford.
yeah.
It really is. It's
He
crazy.
was okay last year. Like he wasn't anything amazing. And
Okay, exactly. Yeah.
like he scored some goals. He played up front some games, right some games, left some games. He does have versatility,
On the
but
bench. Yeah.
Bournemouth they're gone nuts here. Like that's his Darren Bumo money slowly dripping away. Like
Yeah. And I think that's the kind of okay, we can sell Vista to Newcastle now as well, but that's not a great replacement for the two lads they've sold.
no,
Like
nowhere near it.
he didn't hit double figures last year. James
Yeah,
McAtee, I think, is brilliant business for Forest. I
yeah,
really do. I think he is. I think he's really, really good. And if you can get him 30 or 31 Premier League games, if he stays fit, he's only going to get better and better week on week. And he's going to be like I reckon he'll be in talks for Young Player of the Year come the end of the season if he plays week in, week out for Forest. I think he's going to be himself and Gibbs White are just going to run the show there for him.
yeah.
And
Gibbs
then
White looked really good at the weekend as well. So
yeah, his assist was incredible as well. And then Hutchinson, I don't get it. I didn't get it when Ipswich signed him. I don't get it when Forest signed him.
it's
Like,
too much money.
yeah,
I think
crazy.
with Wissa, as you touched on there, it looks like they turned down Newcastle again, like 35 plus 5 million add-ons. Like I don't know how much more they want because he's getting
They
older.
want 60 apparently.
Yeah,
Apparently they've gone up to
it's
60 out of nowhere. They can
that's
get a
they
grip,
did
like.
similar with United. They kept putting the price up, and I feel like their sporting directors came out and had some quotes as well. He's trying to make a bit of a name in the media. I feel like it's a bit
Mm,
strange, but it's funny because I feel like between Mr. Marinakis and Nuno, they're playing a bit of chess with each other here because Nuno came out in the media and said, they're not getting a whole
yeah,
lot. They didn't have enough. Next thing, bang, 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 three very young,
yeah.
talented players coming in, ready to stock you up for the Europa League. So, interesting one and well played by Nuno if that's the case. Then the last three, Giovanni Leone from Parma to Liverpool, 31 million euro. Toby Collier gone on loan from United to West Brom, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin gone from Everton to Leeds on a free transfer. What do you make of these last three?
Calvert-Lewin could. It's a bit like the Joel Embiid thing. Like if you can keep him fit, then he can get you goals.
Don't
But
compare him
he's more
to
likely.
Joel Embiid.
It's more likely that he won't be fit than he will play. Like he'll. I think Leeds just needed something to make it to let their fans think they've done something different. He's not the answer. Toby Collier looked decent in parts I've seen of him. Very, very little. Obviously, I think you might know more about him than I do. I saw some fella say that he'll be the best player in the championship on Twitter, so that means he'll probably be in the top 20 best players in the championship next season.
Yeah,
And then Giovanni Leone is he's 18 years old and 6'5". It's just like let's see where it
Italian
goes. I
centre
think
back.
31 million's a lot of money for an 18-year-old, especially coming to a new country. Italians don't typically travel very well, but hopefully he will. We'll just have to wait and see in that one. It's very hard to like he played 17 senior games of football. It's very hard to say, oh, this guy is going to be the
Yeah,
next Van Dijk or the next Maldini. He could be the next Shane Fleming for all we know. Like Joe, he could be absolutely rubbish at centre back. So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
yeah, but all the features are there, like 6'5" Italian centre back. Those are all usually pretty good indicators of things that are going to work out. But let's see how that goes. Collier, I like
I
him.
actually
Go ahead.
I actually thought you were finished talking about three of them. I was just going to throw in another one. I'll let you finish first.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Apologies.
Collier is like I think he's an interesting player. He could play for United in the future if he gets more minutes elsewhere. So I think that makes sense. He is very solid. He's a good passer. He can run with the ball. He's a little bit raw at times and a bit erratic. So I think playing in the championship will be good for him. And I think Ryan Mason is the West Brom manager now. So let's
Yeah,
see
he
what he
is. Yeah,
does with him. And then Dominic Calvert Lewin. Yeah, we talked about his XG underperformance, the number of times he gets caught offside, he barely plays. Just think it's a waste of time for anybody really to get him, in my
Hmm.
opinion. But let's see how it ends up going. Who is the other person you were going to throw out there?
Um, well, I mean, we can't leave the pod without mentioning Chelsea. And this signing of Julio and Ciso is
Oh my
mad. He's
god!
another lad who signed. He signed for Chelsea. He's been given his sack of coal and been sent off to Strasbourg. Like it's, oh, we see him as a long-term player for Chelsea. No, you don't. You see him as a long-term chance to turn 21 million into 40 million. That's what you see him as. I can't believe.
But it's
I don't.
technically
I
like a
just don't
Strasbourg
understand this.
signing, but they're like
Is
linked.
this?
It's no, like the thing says Strasbourg signed him, but it says Chelsea Strasbourg Blue Co link. Like, how is that allowed? Because
Yeah.
like you said, it is essentially a Chelsea signing, but they're putting it as a Strasbourg plus Chelsea plus Blue Co all in the one. Like, how is that allowed when teams that have
Yeah.
multi
That's
ownership aren't allowed to
just.
deal with each other?
Like, yeah, I don't understand how it's like, because even the way Fabrizio tweeted it was, Blueco have signed Julio
Yeah,
and Ciso as new winger. He'll go to Strasbourg first and then seen as long-term Chelsea player, something along those lines anyway.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
first line was Blueco have signed
It's just so
Julio and
wrong. How
Ciso
can
as new
you?
Chelsea. I'm like, what on earth is this?
It's just
They're not
not.
a football club. Companies can't sign players. This is how West Ham got in trouble for Carlos Tevez and Marciano back in the day because it was the company that they
Mm,
signed the players from. It wasn't the football team. Chelsea are just driving me insane, and they have done some really good business this summer. Then they go and spoil it all by doing this. Like they're just
yeah, it's
crazy,
not. It doesn't
absolutely
sit
crazy.
well with me that that's going to be the way things go, and it's some things are allowed for some teams and some for others. Yeah, it would rub you up the wrong way as fans in general,
Yeah,
and I hope Chelsea fans feel the same.
it's like Chelsea have decided they've spent enough money now, and Strasbourg haven't spent anything. So we have 50 million in Strasbourg we can play with. So let's sign someone for them that's going to play for Chelsea next year, and we can sell them there for 30 million next year when the PSR resets. It's just sick.
Yeah, no, it's not fair at
Absolutely
all.
sick.
So moving on from that, we'll touch on some couple of NFL teams in our previews, like we have been doing. We've only got two more next week then, and then we've got an NFL preview episode coming for you with a couple of guests. So we'll start with the Chiefs. We'll see, very very big team that's gone to three Super
Mm.
Bowls in a row. Where do they need to improve most from last season?
So their running back situation last year was a bit of a problem, especially when Pacheco got injured. They had to sign in Kareem Hunt. If that continues into this season again and teams kind of get a feel for what they've been doing, then I think they could struggle there again. So I really think fixing having it like a true proper like three down running back, one that you can throw in and you know, okay, he'll do the three, and then we can bring in someone who's big or fast, like Brandon Allen. I know he doesn't play the place with Jets. He's the first sample I can think of that can come in and do the 4 and 1 yards. They need someone they can trust for the first three downs and then say, okay, now we need the big boy to get pushed over the line here.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a good point because Hunt is only getting older. You can't really use him as your explosive back, and really what they have outside of Pacheco is not much. And if he gets injured again, it's going to be a tough one. I've said to stop having so many close games. You can't keep getting away with winning one score games. I know
Yeah,
they're the Chiefs, it's what they do, but teams are getting better. Some of their star players are aging, like Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. 17 games in a row now they've won if it's a one score game. That's
yeah,
going to end this season. I definitely think it
definitely.
will. So they need to put games away earlier and stop trying to ride things out the way that they have been. So then looking at three key players on the team that are going to make the biggest impact, who did you have for this?
So kind of leaning on my first point, I put in Brashard Smith. He has the potential to be their three down running back if they need him. Now I know they'll Pacheco as well, but if it does come to a point where they need to put Smith in, he's fast, he's quick feet, he can definitely do the three downs for him if they do need him. Do you know what? He could be the spark they need that stops it being one score games and they start getting into two-score games or something, because that's, as you said, that's something they really, really need to do. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, he'll always be MVP caliber, even if he is dropping a bit. He is just, however far the Chiefs are going to go is going to depend on how good a season he has and how often he can throw more touchdowns than interceptions in games, because he had a really poor year last year. I'm banking on him to bounce back. And then I've gone for Kingsley Mataya. I hope
Mm,
I've said that right.
yeah, he did very
I
good.
think he's the one that needs to be on form if this offense is going to really kick on this year. If he bounces back, all well and good, fire away. But if he doesn't, then they could be in trouble.
Yeah, I think I've gone with somebody who's I've gone with some other players. I've actually also gone with an offensive tackle, Natsuo Mataya. I went with their first round pick, Josh Simmons. They got him up late first round. Injury in his last season of college, so his stock dropped, and they were only delighted to get him at the end. And everything that's coming out from all the experts and everybody around the Chiefs is just rave reviews about how good he is. So it looks like they've fallen into a real star there. Trent McDuffie, one of the top corners in the league.
Mm.
I think looking at him, if he plays to the best of his ability, he's the type of player that the ball never comes his way. And it rarely does because he doesn't get that many interceptions, but that's because people don't throw it towards him. He always has the wide receiver locked down, and it's hard to go in his direction at all. He's had a first team and a second team All Pro in his 3 seasons, part of that 2022 draft class that have been unbelievable for the Chiefs. So I think he'll just continue to kick on as one of the best corners in the league. And then thirdly, I've also gone with a running back, but I've gone with Pacheco because I think he was unlucky with injuries last year. I think if he can
Yeah.
ramp up to the carries he had the year before, like last year, even when he was playing, he only had like 11 carries per game. The year before, I think he had 14. He was impressive in the playoffs when they won the Super Bowl the year before last. So I think if they can ramp him up similarly to that, then I think he'd be very important for them. But I agree the running game needs to improve in general. Looking at whether they'll hit the over under then with the bookies, it's 11.5. I've said no, that they're gonna probably get 11. I know
Mm.
it's the Chiefs, and everyone will think, yeah, they're locked in for 13 or 14 wins. But if you look at their schedule, they have to play the Eagles, Ravens, Lions, Commanders, Bills, and Texans. And then their own division is very tough. So they've got the Broncos, Chargers, and Raiders, who they have to play home and away. So it's not going to be plain sailing. I think other teams are getting better, and the AFC is very, very tough. So I'm penciling them in around 11 wins.
Yeah, I've gone under as well. The thing for me was that after three Super Bowls in a row, like there is a point where you have to dip before you can come back up again. And I think this year is going to be their dip. Obviously we'll talk about their ceiling in a second, but I just thought 11 and a half. I think if they get to 10 or 11, as you just said, I think they'll be having a good year and that'll still get them into playoff contention, obviously. I don't think they're going to be winning the 14, 15 games this year, as you said as well. Too many one-score games, that they're going to lose a couple this year, and that's going to drop them like, quite a bit as well.
Yeah, and then as you mentioned, looking at the ceiling, what have you gone with there?
They can obviously still get their Super Bowl. Um,
Do you think they can win it?
can they win it? I don't know. I think there's better teams than them in it. Um, I don't think personally they will get to Super Bowl. I think this is the year where the Bills do finally beat them out to get to a Super
Mm.
Bowl. But I think they can get there, and it's hard to bet against them if they do get there. But what the Eagles did to them last year was a blueprint for a lot of teams heading into this year and how to beat the Chiefs. So we'll have to wait and see. But they can definitely get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right that what the Eagles did to them completely undid them, but no other team has that defensive front and Vic Fangio
Yeah, there's that as
and
well.
those
Yeah.
stars. So it's kind of tough,
Mm,
but I agree with you that Super Bowl to get there, I'm gonna say that their ceiling is to win it because they have Patrick
okay.
Mahomes and they have Andy Reid. When they have those two, I'm never gonna say that it's not a Super Bowl. They could lose half of their team, and half of an Irish American football team could be slotted in there, and they still have Mahomes and Reid. I'm still gonna say that they can win it. That's a ceiling without a doubt. I just think that you said they're going to have a slump season. I think yeah, like to them 11 wins but then
It
doing
is
good in the
slumped.
playoffs is still a slump to them because they didn't win
Mm,
enough games in the regular season or losing that Super Bowl and getting whacked. That's a slump for them. That's the kind of mindset they have.
yeah.
So yeah, I think just it's hard to write off Mahomes. But again, we'll do our full NFL preview of the season, and I'm very similarly aligned to you that I think it could be the Bills' year instead of the Chiefs in the AFC. So watch out for that one. Moving on to their divisional opponent, then the Raiders. where they need to improve most from last season, I said they need to have solid QB plays was the first thing I thought about, but then I said more importantly than that, they need to have a good running game because by God, it was awful last year.
Mm.
79.8 yards per game, worst in the league by 12 yards. Now they have Genty, so let's see if he can make the most out of all the carries that he's going to get because he's going to get a lot. Their offensive line isn't anything amazing, so let's see. Let's see what he does. They've addressed their biggest issue, but let's see if it works out. What did you have?
Yeah, so I actually put down two because I had a feeling you were going to go with the running game as well. So I have put down as well. Their early game defense is horrific. They conceded 84 points in first quarters last season. And somehow that was only the eighth most in the NFL. So there were seven teams worse than them. But like as you said, if they want the likes of Ashton Genty, the likes of Brock Bowers to be able to do anything on the offensive side, they need to shore up that defense and give them like you don't want to be starting second quarters 7 points down every single time and almost being guaranteed that you're straight away behind the eight ball. So they definitely need. I can't believe I just said that. They definitely need to sort out that first quarter defense as well as make sure to give Ashton Genty the ball.
Yeah, I think it's a good point because as well when you have Geno Smith, who let's just go into it. He's one of my players, my three key players to make the biggest impact. Having a solid QB to finally throw the ball consistently is so important. 4,320 yards last year, 21 touchdowns. But the point I was going to make is that he does throw interceptions. So if you're going to be losing
Mm,
by 7, 10 points after every first quarter or most first quarters, he's going to go chasing the game and he then becomes more likely to throw interceptions. I think he had the fourth most yards in the league last year, but the second most interceptions are close to it. So it's the good with the bad, but at least they have a solid QB. The other two I went with then are Brock Bowers, unreal player who can block, catch anything, run so many routes,
mm.
get yards after the catch no matter what. He almost had the rookie receiving record, only for the fact that Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. both beat him to it because of how good they were. And then the last one is Jeremy Chin. I think he had a really good year with the Commanders. He needed that. Working with a guy like Dan Quinn, he's in at safety for them now. We got a 2 year, $16.25 million deal. He had a career high 117 combined tackles last year, five pass deflections, and a career high 2 sacks as well. So him starting 17 games though is the biggest fact for me that he could stay healthy.
Yeah,
He played throughout the full season, and now the Raiders have somebody who they can rely upon and who has still got a lot of upside left to him.
yeah. They're three good picks. I had Brock Bowers as well. He's not the main man because I think the main man this year in the offense is going to be Ashton Genty, who's the second one of my picks. But Brock Bowers is just what he did last year was insane. I just thought he was incredible for a team that was really quite poor. He still managed to shine. Ashton Genty is going to be the face of this offense next year and for many years to come. If he hits the ceiling that he looks like he's going to hit, he just looks incredible. He's had a really good preseason as well by all accounts. And then Max Crosby is my third. I just think he's a machine. And he's so dominant. Everything he does is just so dominant. He just looks like he's not a man you want to run into anywhere, and especially not on an NFL field. So he's there. He's the key to their defense as well as the safety you mentioned there. His name has already slipped my mind. I
Jeremy
think the two
Chin.
of them, keeping Chin and Crosby healthy for 17 games is going to go a long way in helping that offense or that defense this year.
Yeah, I a little bit of pushback I have on Genty is I think he's going to be unbelievable. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say he's not going to be
Mm,
after what we saw in college, but I think it's not even pushback. It could be more so that he hasn't like lit the world on fire. Like we didn't see like a Travion Henderson like kickoff return like we did with him
mm,
from Genty in the preseason. But again, he could be just running at like 50%. He could be saving himself. They could be trying out different things. So I wouldn't read into it too much for the people that are expecting him to light the world on fire in preseason already. Like you said, he's been solid and he's going to ramp it up. So I think
yeah,
it's too early to make a judgment, but I think you're looking at all the right things. So I agree that he's going to be massive for them if they
I
get it right.
think yeah. Yeah, I think another thing with preseason is you're not going to see the Giants absolutely destroy the Jets
Oh, of
in a
course you
regular
are.
season game. I
I
hope
even more.
so. Yeah, you're not going to see the Jets only. Well, you might see the Jets only score one touchdown in a couple of games, but it won't be against the Giants, hopefully.
Come on now, that defensive front. Here we go. Already
Yeah,
doubling that Bill
let's
Carter
see.
in the preseason
Yeah,
game. Try that in the regular season, and
yeah,
good night, Brian Burns and Dexter are on you. But no, you're right. The preseason is nothing to read into. In terms of results,
no.
I would look at like some individual players if they're matched up starter on starter or something like that. Or you're trying to gain which guy is your best like backup at a certain position. But yeah, in terms of results and stuff, it means not a whole lot. Then the over under is 6.5. Do you think they're gonna get there?
Gone over. Gino, Brock, Ashton. Like I think it's a really really solid place to start. Add in a couple of wide receivers, then I think they'll get 8 wins minimum.
I had it over as well. I said between 7 and 9. Just having a well coached team, having Pete Carroll there who knows what he's doing, and having some decent quarterback play. All those things will elevate the
Yeah.
team, and they'll just be competent, and they'll be tough to play against. Then they're sealing with the current roster and coach for the season ahead. I've gone with 9 wins, so the top level of what I said there. But I think they'll still miss the playoffs because the AFC is strong. Bengals missed it last year with 9. I just think they won't have the tiebreakers either to get there if they did have 9. So I'm going to go with 9 and just miss out.
Yeah, exact same as you. 9 wins and just being unlucky being unlucky not to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it'd be a huge
Huge
improvement.
step forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah.
So that would be something I think they could be proud of if that came about. Last up, then, the draft. We've done it already for the NBA, and we've done it already for the Premier League. Best players under 25 years of age. This week, we're looking at who's going first. It's going to be you. So I went last week. So you work away first this time.
Great. I actually wanted to go second again this time. It's so much. It's actually better going second than easy to get 2 in a row. But I'm going to
Yeah,
start by taking Penny Sewell, the offensive tackle from the Detroit Lions. If I find it, maybe I'm not going to make a mess of this one the way I did the other two. So, he's back to back all proteins. I think he's absolutely class, and
yeah.
I think by your reaction, he was the consensus number one pick here.
Yeah, he's my number one as well. Like you said, first team All Pro 2 years in a row. The good, like the absolute size of him, he's an unbelievable tackle. He can even catch the ball. I'd say next up he'll be thrown.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's just unbelievable. The next two I had on my list were actually two quarterbacks, but I'm just going to pick one because I don't want to pick two. So I'm going to take Jaden Daniels. It was between him and somebody else, but I just think that the way he played last year, he's like probably the best rookie quarterback we've ever seen in the league. What he did
yeah,
and how
outrageous.
far he got them and what he's able to do under pressure, just everything unbelievable. And then next, I'm going to go with Kyle Hamilton. I think he's one of the main parts of that Ravens defense. First team All Pro 2023, second team All Pro last year, two-time Pro Bowler. He's just 24 years of age, which is mad. I honestly thought he was older than that. He seems just like a veteran the way he plays the whole time. Really good next to Roquan Smith. I like him a lot, so I'm gonna go with him as my next pick.
Fair, yeah. My next two, I'm going to take Bijan Robinson, who is definitely the best running back in this age
Mm.
category. I had to look all of these lads up twice to make sure they were all under 24. Sorry, 24 and under after my howler in the last two goals with this. I'm putting Bijan in second, and I'm trying to think of what quarterback you have now. I reckon you're thinking it's CJ Stroud. I'm not putting him in here. Yes, I'm going to go with Puka Nakua next to me. His rookie season in particular, he was incredible. He was injured enough last year, but I think if he's back and he's the way he was year one this year, I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Yeah, I really like that pick. I like Puka a lot. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the league, like you said, and he's not afraid to put his body on the line and block, which may shorten his career a little bit, but it makes
Yeah.
his football ability amazing. Yeah, I did have CJ Stroud, but I'm gonna take Derek Stingley Jr. next instead. 5 interceptions in both of the last 2 seasons, first team All Pro and Pro Bowl last year. I think he's the best cornerback in the league. I know Sauce Gardner got paid marginally more than him, but he's unbelievable. The way he reads the game, he's going to be one of those guys that people just don't throw the ball in his direction. He's a ball hawk. He's able to break up anything. He has the pace to match any pacey wide receiver, but he also has the ability to read what's coming. And then I will take CJ Stroud with the next one because I had him third overall. I just think leaving him any later than that would be wrong. He's so good. He has a lot of talent. I actually wrote an article the year before last that he was he the best rookie quarterback of all time, looking at his stats and how it matched up with Andrew Luck. And then last year I wrote, was Jaden Daniels the best rookie quarterback of all time, as kind of a follow-on piece. And I think
Yeah,
Daniels was slightly better as a rookie. Stroud stepped back last year. He made some silly mistakes, but he was under a lot of pressure and he has the talent. So I still think he's very, very good. So I'm going to pick him up next.
nice one. My final two, you've left me the two I wanted. I'm going for the other cornerback that you mentioned. I'm putting in Sauce Gardner. I had to get in one of the big boys for the New York Jets after the money they paid him in the summer, and unfortunately Wilson's birthday is too early in 2000 for him to be considered here. And finally, then I have Brock Bowers. We spoke about him enough a couple of minutes ago. He's just like he's absolutely class, like,
Yeah.
absolutely class.
I had Bowers as one of my guys to pick next up. It does pain me not to take Malik Neighbors, but I do, as a wide receiver, I do want to see one more year. This is the same as
Mm.
Brian Thomas Jr. I did have Bowers though on my list just because of all the other things he can do. I think it's very valuable, and I've seen enough to put him in my top 10. So my last pick, I'll take Jameer Gibbs. I think he can give a lot in the passing game. We've also seen him throw the ball. He can run like crazy. He'll slowly
Mm.
phase Montgomery out of that team. He'll just play less and less.
Definitely.
And look, that's the way things go. There will be two backs. Montgomery will take snaps off him, but it will be whittled down over time, and Gibbs will be the focal point of that run game. So he was my last pick. So I've got Jaden Daniels, Kyle Hamilton, Derek Stingley Jr., CJ Stroud, and Jameer Gibbs.
And I finally drafted well. I have Sewell, Bijan, Puka, Sauce Gardner, and Brock Bowers.
Nice. Yeah, I think we both have pretty nice lineups there. The one honorable mention I had in my 10 that didn't get picked was Jalen Carter, but I think we all know how good he is, so he doesn't need to be on any lists to justify that. He has a Super Bowl ring. That's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. A longer episode. We got a lot in. Covered a lot. There's a lot of sport going on right now. So we'll continue to cover as much as we can every week. In a couple of weeks, we'll have a double episode again with the NFL preview. So keep your eyes and ears out for that one. We're going to have 2 guests on, so it's going to be a good time. Appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a 5-star review. All that good stuff. Shane?
Cheers, lads. I won't keep you too long this time. We've kept you long enough. Just like and subscribe as always, and thank you very much for watching.
Nice
And
one, lads.